Hey guys, how's it going? Hey Tom, how are you? Good to see you. I thought I'd give you guys a chance to come on in the room and all that kind of stuff. I hope everybody's day is going okay. My next topic I have planned tonight would be um, regarding another pioneer in television and in filmmaking as well. And I thought you might want to hear a little bit about him. I don't have a lot of things to talk about, so we could talk about other things too. I don't mind that. But the main thing I wanted to talk about tonight was a little makeup artist, unknown artist at the time. His name was Max Factor, and that's who I plan on speaking about tonight. Is Mr. Max Factor. I thought he would be a kind of an interesting guy to speak about. So, how is everybody? I'll just wait for a little bit more people to come in if you don't mind. Doo, doo, doo. Hey, Tug, how's it going, sir? Good to see you. I was saying that my little speech tonight, or my little thing tonight, is about another pioneer in movie in the film industry and TV and whatnot. And the person who I wish to speak about tonight would be the makeup artist Max Factor. He was pretty much the cosmetician to the stars, and he was also a big name in the film industry and in TV as well. Max Factor, his basically he was born in 1909, and he basically was an immigrant from Poland, and he moved to Los Angeles in 1904. Basically, his first industry in the makeup industry was wigs. So I thought that was pretty cool. Ah, okay. Well, let me tell you more about him. The interesting thing was he interested in helping out the movie industry too. And when he moved to Los Angeles, his parents did all sorts of things as far as work related things are concerned. But he had a really interesting thing. He moved, and I think the thing is, let me see, according to my records here, I have to always keep like something to write or some interesting thing to keep with me because I tend to forget a lot. But I thought he was another interesting fellow. He specialized in movie makeup. Again, uh, and basically he sold his $500 million business, Max Factor, to later in the game in 1991 to Procter and Gamble. Um, Long story short, he was born Maximilian Faktorowicz in Congress, Poland. He moved to Moscow. Like I said, he was employed as a wig maker. After immigrating to the United States in 1904, his family opened up a business in Los Angeles, California, and seeking a make-to-order wigs. So he was in the film industry with his parents and with his whole family selling wigs, and that was his main thing before he got into cosmetics. Um, but he noticed that in the early years of movie making, grease paint and stick form was mostly accepted on the stage and in early black and white movies. The non-talkers. And the interesting thing about it is that he noticed how the grease paint that they had back then was not pliable to skin. In other words, they throw on for the old like non-speaking movies because they were all like all in black and white and whatnot, and even some of the talkies that were in black and white use these grease paint sticks, so that is to blend in with the color of the film and make it a little easier on the eyes as far as bringing out contour and a lot of shades in the right areas and whatnot. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Hey, how's it going, Joe? I thought you guys would be on Scott's thing. I want to see if I could hook up on Scott's thing after I'm done giving my little thingy. Hey, Waj, what's going on, dude? Nice to see you. Nice to see everybody. I was speaking about Max Factor, the cosmetologist to the stars. He was really, really cool. Like I said, so he was trying to figure out ways of making it easier instead of using these grease paint sticks in the movies. He noticed that when they were being worn by the artists or the filmmakers, um, what happened was is that the grease paint itself would crack because it would dry out really fast. It hardly had any oils or any kind of like salve, so that when the actors moved their faces, or if an actor laughed, the grease paint just cracked, and it just, he was trying to move away from that. Hey, hey, everybody, and I just wanted to tell you more about him. So, anywho, that's what he was trying to accomplish. So he began experimenting with various compounds in order to develop his first cosmetic product. With his first major achievement, to his credit, Max Factor became the authority on cosmetics and filmmaking. Some movie stars were eager to sample his what they called flexible grease paint instead of the original grease paint I just talked to you about. Long story short, he he did makeup for people, and these are the early stars that actually used his makeup. And I'll tell you who they are in a second. I'm just making sure that you know, my words are words here. Um, okay, so basically, he worked with Mabel Normand. These are like really early movie stars. Uh, Ben Turpin, Gloria Swanson, Mary Pickford, Paula Nigiri, Claudette Colbert, Betty Davis, Norma Shearer, Joan Crawford, and Judy Garland, just to name a few. I have a few more I'll give to you later. His biggest, this is my opinion, but the thing is that it's also a noted truth. The reason why I use that picture with Lucille Ball on the cover was of my chat here was because Lucille Ball was his biggest uh, money producer, one of them. She endorsed his makeup line, and she used his makeup a lot in her movies. And it carried on through even to Lucille Ball's show, I Love Lucy. Basically, on the set of I Love Lucy, basically, hey, VNA, how's it going, kid? Keep cool. Please drink lots of water. Please, I'm worried about you. Anyhow, like I said, Lucille Ball was one of his people, or one of her people that would do her makeup for I Love Lucy. He did her makeup in the first few seasons, I would believe. Him personally, he would go to the set, and then he would basically do her makeup and do other people's makeup as well. She used quite a bit of stars, or as far as like in the cosmetics industry, but Max Factor was her main guy. So that was pretty interesting to find out. Another one of his really, really big clients was Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was so smitten with him that the only cosmetic line that she would ever use would be Max Factor for a very long time. Now, mind you, she used Chanel products as far as what she used to use for, to make her, smell good and feel good. She used Chanel number 5 at night, but this has nothing to do with that. Well, long story short, Chanel didn't have a cosmetics line back then. I'm sure if they had a cosmetics line, she would have used it, but she used his makeup a lot. And so, long story short, is he finally came up with a way of making like a range of face power for wide shades, which allowed him to customize and provide more consistent makeup for each individual actor and actress. He created appearances for those actresses, such as Clara Bow's heart-shaped Pierrot lips, Years later, he exaggerated Joan Crawford's naturally full lips to diminish her from many would-be stars, copying the Clara Bowes look. He also created shades specifically for them: platinum for Jean Harlow, special medium for Joan Crawford, which would be a dark for Claudette Colbert, and a light Egyptian for Lena Horne, as far as the colors. Now, he also helped out with men's cosmetics in the film industry as well. The biggest name I could find for a male SAR form was Rudolph Valentino. That was pretty interesting. He created all these different makeups to complement or complemented the complexion of all the actresses and actors' skin colors on screen, so that they would pop better and so that they would look better and they wouldn't shine so much. In the year 1920, X Factor suggestion to his son, Frank's suggestion, officially began referring to his proud makeups or proud products as makeup, therefore creating the the line makeup, or the word makeup, how we use makeup today. He coined that phrase, and basically, he also had been coming up with different things. Um, Let me see something here. Let me see. Uh, Basically, by 1922, he became the biggest retailer of theatrical stick paint or theatrical grease paint, because of his new technologies that he found back then in making that makeup. So that was pretty interesting to see. Let me see if there's anybody else coming in. I don't want to miss anybody. If they do, I always like to say a good hello to everybody. Then he also concentrated on products like in a collapsible tube in the form of a stick, other than the producers that would use this tube of grease paint. That way, no, it basically wouldn't be like his makeup would be sold in tubes, and he would be the first to do this. And the reason why he would do that is that, hey John, how's it going? I'm sorry, dude, I missed you too. Well, hello, John. Woo. And long story short is basically his first paints, or his first cosmetic paints, were called pan cosmetics. They were little cylindrical round things like this, and they were probably about like that big. And the top, of course, came off, and then you stick your finger in it and wipe it. Well, he decided he wanted something a little bit more hypoallergenic. So he was the first guy to be putting his makeup into tubes. So all you have to do is squeeze the tube out. You can either use a cotton pad or use your own finger to apply your own makeup instead of trying to use it for many different people. So he's trying to keep things clean and natural, and he was one of the earliest cosmetic guys to do so. Where a lot of them didn't, a lot of them were as resourceful as he was. Um, he also went into, let me see if I could find anything more that was pretty cool. He also created in 1926 the first waterproof theatrical makeup, which was worn by Esther Williams, of all people. Esther Williams, of course, was during the 30s, 40s. She was an actress, and she was known for doing her syncopated swimming in those movies. And it was really cool stuff back in those days. When they did movies back then, they did movies. And she was one of the many, many stars who used that waterproof makeup, because guess what? Uh, Basically, um, that's what took place. And so she liked this makeup because, she would be in a pool all the time, and they'd film her from a really huge, like almost like cherry picker kind of style, kind of a piece of equipment. So the cameras would be so heavy in those days. You kind of had to be, you know, good about holding them back, and they had to be like almost chain bolted to the actual picker thing itself, so you could look down as she's swimming in the pool. And Hollywood built a special pool just for Esther Williams to do her thing in. So long story short is she was one of his biggest people as far as the waterproof makeup is concerned. Now in 1925, this is when the company received its biggest order to date to complete a rush order to supply 600 gallons of light olive oil makeup in the set of the movie called Ben Hur. And of course, I'm sure many of you out there have seen Ben Hur. I've seen Ben Hur. Crazy movie. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean like crazy, like it just had so many people. And it was like a cast of millions. And that's the way movies were done back then. And I love the way they were done back then. Let's see. It's hard to imagine how Factor were figuring out how to apply cosmetics in a whole new way. Oh yeah, he had a whole science lab, and he would go in there and he would create things. He even had like what they call a micromonitor. I guess it was to basically it was a thing that was placed over face. I'll show you in a minute here of the actual character here. Let me see if I can show that to you. It's kind of a wild looking machine, but it measured how much makeup the person was getting on their face. This is Max Factor, and this is that weird machine that looks like something out of like an old movie. See that thing over there? That's what um, look at and see how much makeup was applied to each person's face using that specific machine, which I thought is kind of an interesting thing. I mean, it looks kind of nuclear, does it? And that's Max Factor himself. But the thing is about that was it measured how much makeup you had. Basically, what he did was he minimized the makeup lines for these actors and actresses because I guess according to those measurement tools he used to use, people would paint themselves up almost like to go on a movie, kind of just like you would be going. Uh, yeah, Metropolis. You're no kidding there, and I agreed, Tug, and yeah, yeah, I like to take a break too. John, I'm sorry, I'm not reading this in any particular order. I'm not as good as Dave or all the professionals out there, Thrash and the rest of them. I just sort of go at my own flow, which is pick and choose, poo 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 poo. Anyhow, um, so, like I said, he was the first one to notice that people were putting makeup on their faces like a Van Gogh painting. In other words, his makeup was a lot thinner and it distributed a lot better. And all the stars and all the people in the movies had less makeup to put on and to take off, which was great because a lot of those artists, were very particular back then. They were real divas back in those days. I mean, they're real divas now, but now they've got all the technology for all these advanced different hair care and face care products. Where back in those days, you really didn't have very much of a choice, and Max Factor was at one point the only choice you had. So he was trying to make it a lot easier for people to actually maneuver. And when they acted and when they did the facial expressions or if they had to cry, his makeup wouldn't run, which is kind of an interesting fact. Um, Basically, what he was also doing was he was trying to also break in 1927 when the sales came around. He was trying to figure uh, basically the rights to advertise and distribute his products. Uh, Due to his strong connection in the film industry, Max Factor was able to use celebrity endorsements in its advertising in return for normal payment uh, of U.S. Dollars to the actress advertising who would promote the star's latest film. So if she was promoting her film, she'd be guaranteed to be wearing Max Factor makeup. And I think that's pretty an interesting thing too, because I didn't know that myself. Through the development of Technicolor film, he also developed a new line of cosmetics called Panachromic makeup to reflect the color and bring out the surrounding colors As a result, how bad they looked in many color movies, actresses and actresses, actors and actresses refused to appear in color films. Because of that, Max Factor made it a lot easier with the panachromatic makeup. And he was basically he called it T. He called the initial line TD, then renamed it Pancake. So basically, the line of Pancake Cosmetics came from him. And the first appearance of it was in a film called Vogues of 1938. It was made for on screen looks, but wearable for day to day looks. Now, as he thought about it, those day to day looks and that kind of makeup, he thought about, maybe I should be making this to the general public, of which he did. But it took a little bit of time with a little bit of, people wearing his makeup and such. Yeah, let me see. I don't want to ignore anybody. We all had to learn by, yeah, he was one of those kind of guys. He really learned how to do. Um, Basically, that machine I just showed you, he called it the beauty micrometer. In the 30s, he helped to develop a mask like device to measure the contours of the subject's faces. He called it the beauty micrometer. The purpose was to detect even barely visible structural flaws that might be magnified and more noticeable on camera. A technician would then apply makeup to mask the problem, but it was also to measure how much makeup was going on the individual. Well, basically, after Max Factor lived till 1938. He perished, and his son took over the business in 1939. He developed a whole line of smear-proof lipstick, which would be non-irritating and not to change color. A kissing machine was constructed to test the formula's resistance to fading. The result was released in 1940s as True Color in 6 shades of red. Basically, what his son carried on was not just helping the film industry, but bringing out the actual line for women to go to their local pharmacies back in those days. That's where you purchased your makeup, and or the department stores, and they would carry that line of all those shades of red. And these are when things were just starting to roll out. This when products started rolling out. And during World War II, he developed makeup shades for the U.S. Marine Corps in camouflaging faces. That I did not know either. I didn't know he helped with the war. In 1947, after 26 months of development by Max Factor Jr., the company released a pan stick cream makeup supplied in stick form and designed to take advantage of the latest changes in studio lighting and film stock. The product was quick to apply and was non greasy, and it was released to the public in 1948 and was immediately commercially successful. See, that's what I'm saying. He wanted to expand this product to so that everybody, including the common housewife, could actually buy the makeup, and it would be sold not just to film industries or stars anymore, but would be sold to everybody. And so that's why he his son um, was so successful, is because he put out all this different stuff to attract more name people to wear it, but also to the common housewife. Let me see, what else do I have on this. In here we go. So let me look at this one here. In 1951, the company expanded their range to offer a range of male shampoo for male, for the males, and aftershave lotion and deodorant and shaving foams. The introduction of color TV had led the company to develop Max Factor Color TV makeup, which which became a standard in color TV. In 1955, the company released the first Electrique, its first in its fragrance, 3 years after Primitive or Primitive. Oh, Primitive. I can't even read that. In 1956, X Factor purchased Sales Builders, which had the time handled of all their national sales and distribution. This led to a company's reorganization of the company American Markets, Advertising and Distribution TV or television. So he did a lot. He also came up with an interesting way of coming up with the makeup. As more and more the makeup they had that sold, especially the lipsticks, uh, for the general public to buy, and in the lipstick cases themselves during before the war started, they were in metal compact, like metal tubes. Well, what happened was is that um, when the war started, he had to also think about a way of using the metal more or selling the metal that he was using for those top of the compacts. And he had to switch it out to plastic because the metals were being used for war purposes. And so also with that, with his lipsticks were, is that you could buy the lipstick in the container once the lipstick was done. Instead of buying a whole brand new container, you could just buy the refill of the lipstick you wanted, and then it would just click into the stick, and then you could put it back on. But yeah, if you ever see any early Max Factor pieces of makeup, and I know I should be showing you guys a little bit more stuff like this, where you could see it, it is a pretty cool thing. Uh, I, I can honestly say that he did a lot of stuff with the women and the TV industry. Let me read you something from here too. This is an interesting thing. I mean, eventually the line expanded and it got sold to Cody, which got sold to Procter and Gamble and all that. But let me see. I have something here too. Okay, I did mention. Now these are other stars too. He, of course, he like I said. I think I mentioned that he did Betty Davis, Judy Garland. Of course, he mentioned. I think I mentioned Joan Crawford and Jean Harlow. But let me see this one here for a minute. Sorry, folks, I'm just sort of looking around here. But I thought that this would be an interesting thing to read. He also had other stars too, and I thought they were pretty interesting. Hey, Daryl, what's going down, sir? Anything fun going by you? I hope so. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, that ends that. But I have a whole list of other stars somewhere around here that he used to do makeup for. So as I see it now, um, oh yeah, he let me see. If you have other things you would like to bring up, of course you could bring them up here. I don't care. I'm glad you guys are talking to each other. It's nice to see you guys commiserating. Let me see what talk amongst yourselves. um, yeah, he was considered an early makeup master. That's for darn sure. Let me see. I thought I saw something that was kind of interesting, unless it's just something I heard. But yeah. So basically, like I said, he did numerous stars, so many stars I can't even raffle them off to you. But he was in, he did a lot of stuff for early, and I mean early stars too, and early television, which was kind of interesting. Oh gosh, the haircut. Well, I'm sure you look good, and I'm sure it feels good, especially if you're somewhere where it's hot. I mean, geez, I mean, I have friends who live in Texas right now, and either they're getting all that kind of cockeyed weather there, whether it's the heat or the tornadoes or some of the storms. It's ridiculous. And then I have friends who have no air conditioning there. And I'm like, oh my God, of all the places not to have air conditioning. And especially when it's like 100 and something degrees outside. All right, let me see some other stuff here. Okay, Max Factor was credited with many cosmetic innovations, which were among the grease paint sticks I was telling you about, Supreme Liquid Whitener, which provided the means of obtaining an alabaster smoothness on the neck or shoulder, arms, and hands. Like I said, this guy did a lot for old movies. Color Harmony in 1918, the face powder to its wide ranges and shades of customizing makeup for an individual actor actress. In 1925, released Supreme Nail Polish, a metal pot of beige colored powder that sprinkled on the nails and buffed with a chamois buffer to give the nails a shine and a custom tint. He also did a released Society nail tint with a smooth porcelain pot containing rose colored cream applied to the nail and buffed to give it a natural rose color. More Society nail white, as they say, was also released. This was a tube of chalky white fluid, which was applied under the nail tips and let to dry. It resembled in the modern version of a French manicure, which is today. He did listen to this. He developed cosmetics especially for use in black and white films. Max Sr. was awarded an Oscar for that, for his makeup and his innovation. Isn't that something? And then in 1930, he invented lip gloss. In 1932, he developed a line of television makeup, which was I can't even talk anymore, which was specifically meet the needs of television. In 1934, he released Liquid Nail Enamel, the forerunner of today's nail polishes. He opened up his first salon in 1935 in Los Angeles. In 1935, he released Pancake, uh, forerunner of modern cake makeup, originally developed for color films. 1940, he released True Color Lipstick, the first smear-proof lipstick created by Hunter's Bow, which was a shape among the pinup set. And Hunter's Bow was a famous person as well. 1948, released Pan Stick Makeup, and released in 1954, Erase, the original concealer, developed a line of cosmetics specifically for television needs. This line remains the standard for TV today. Oh my gosh. Or at least before the arrival of HD TV, excuse me. In 1971, released the first waterproof makeup. Again, he also created one back in the 30s as well. In 1980, Japanese subsidiary acquired antioxidant and derived from a sale wine called Patura. Subsequently launched Max Factor Secret Key with Patera, which would later be renamed as K2, whatever that is. In 1998, 1989 rather, no, 1988, launched the first clear colorless mascara. In 2000, launched the first 12-hour long-lasting non-transfer lip color lipstick. And in 2009, launched the False Lash Effect mascara. I mean, those are some of his accomplishments, or the factory's accomplishments. But yeah, he was a very, very interesting person. And I like to bring up these people who are not very much talked about because, they deserve their kudos too. I mean, they deserve our respect and all that because, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have our famous old timey stars that we do today. And I thought they were pretty cool people. You know, a lot of these things back then were just so interesting. And like I said, I like to mention TV pioneers and things like that. And like I say, I go further back, I think, than, as far as like the outside people are concerned, further than Dave or them, because like I say, I like the history of it. I have to move this thing up. Sorry about the jiggle some here. But yeah, I like the history and I like the very beginnings of things. It's like I tell Dave, and he agrees with me though, because we both like to watch MASH, and I think the first three seasons of MASH are the best. But I mean, that's just how we are, and he thinks the same way too. So we all have that in common. But then again, I like the whole series anyways. It was such a good show. But the first three seasons were, they were tremendous. Um, Still asking, let me see. We're still using some of his, didn't we say 100 years? Yep, we are, Doug. Now, of course, there's also a lot more diversity in the cosmetics industry, as far as, okay, see, Max Factor mostly dealt with, back then. I like everybody, so I'm just gonna put this out there. He dealt with mostly, Caucasian skin people and didn't do stuff too much for like Asian skin or for African American skin. And now we have like products like Fashion Fair, and that's even an old brand by now too. That came out like I think in the 60s or 50s for African American ladies to use. And well, long story short is they also have their own versions of pan makeup, and Clinique I know has the rainbow variety of things. And then there's a company that is and I don't think it's Clarins, it's another one. I can't think of the name of it. I'm going to call it Sakura or something, but it's a makeup line for Asian actors and actresses, and they have their own pan makeup. So now that there's competition out there, plus you've got other brands now. Of course, now you've got Chanel in the business. You've got well, like you've got Elizabeth Arden, and then you've got all these other brands. Not to mention the brands that don't sell in the stores either. I mean, still Hollywood uses certain makeups to apply to different situations. And especially like if you like to watch those old horror movies, or if you like to watch like any of the Lon Chaney movies, there's a makeup for that as well now. And same with like when you watch Michael Myers or any one of these newer based films. This stems pretty much all from the days of Max Factor, because he was the first one to do it. So you got to tip your hat to a guy like him. But there are a lot of really really cool people out there who are makeup artists who especially do nothing but do like monster or horror, or like let's say you get hit in like, let's say not you, but let's say, God forbid, but let's say there's a car wreck. There's makeup artists who can make your face look like you got into one. And I tip that all to Max Factor. And these people who apply the makeups, you just think of them as artists, which they are. But one thing about them too is they just like Max Factor did, he had to study really hard about the human complexion and how skin and how things like that work. Even today, cosmetologists in the film industry, when they're applying makeup, to certain actors and actresses or whatever they're doing now, they still have to get a read on the stars that they're putting the makeup on. They want to make sure that they're not allergic, or their skin's not going to blotch out, or if it's not too heavy, or if it's too thick or thin. All that stuff has a lot of biology and research into it. And I think that's an interesting thing, because there is a science to doing this. And like I said, it's not just that they're artists; they are artists, but they are also people who've studied the human body, and they would have had to in order to become professional and licensed cosmeticians. Um, to bring up a fun point, my mom was a cosmetician for on-air talent for CBS back in the day, in the 60s and early 70s for Lee Bell. She had a show in Chicago. Her husband, um, John, oh, was that Philip? John Bell, or no, yeah, I can't remember his name now. But Mr. Phillip and his wife Lee created the show The Young and the Restless. They were family friends of my mom's, or family friends of ours, but through my mom. And she worked for them, and she did Lee Bell's makeup and hair. And that was back in the days where, like, nowadays the stars usually get their hairs done somewhere else, and they get make they apply their own makeup now. But back in the old days, or at least the days when you have full service, like almost like a full service gas station, the actual star would have a licensed cosmetician putting on her makeup and putting on, doing her hair and everything, so that when she went on camera, she didn't have to worry about that. Well, now, it's like with all the talk shows out there, a lot of them have gotten to the point where, like, you see like somebody like somebody like, oh gosh, I don't know who's a really good one, but you see people putting on their own makeup now. They don't have all the cosmeticians like they used to back in the old days, because those people took care of people back then. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So she did that, and she worked for CBS for about 7 years, I think, 7 or 8 years. Anyhow, so that was a time and place, and Max Factor was in a time and place. He was doing that same thing for Lucille Ball in I Love Lucy. He was I mean, I think he was her exclusive makeup artist on that show, and she used no one else but him. And same with Marilyn Monroe. She didn't trust anybody else but Max Factor. And at one time, his makeup was really expensive. It was the hot product. Of course, nowadays, if you could find Max Factor here in the American market, it's not so much anymore, which is pretty sad. But yeah, Tony Braxton from, what's that? Oh no, I'm sorry. Tom Savini from Giorgio Romero got his gross makeup from the his gross makeups from Vietnam. Interesting. I'm sorry, I have a little trouble seeing because my typeface is real small in there. Looking up Max Factor, even supplied the makeup to Jack Pierce, the guy who would do Karlov's makeup. That's right. He had a pretty big hand in that industry, and he was no small guy. Everybody in the industry knew him. That's what I'm saying. And there's a lot of people don't know about these people, and like they made TV and things the way we know it now. I tip my hat to all these guys. They do a really good job. And so, like I say, it's an interesting subject. I'm planning on doing more of like these kind of things, like the more obscure stuff. But then again, it's not obscure to those in the know. But I'm not going to have it so weird that you won't know who I'm talking about, or make associate comments. Like I tell you, Max was associated with Lucille Ball. Well, most of us already know who Lucille Ball was, you know, and she would use nobody but him. And Lucille Ball was a diva. Joan Crawford also was a diva, and she used Max Factor. But especially somebody like Lucille Ball, she was what they call a perfectionist in the industry. So she wouldn't have any other person do her stuff if it wasn't for her. Yeah, Lon Chaney did all of his own makeup. Yeah, he did, but a lot of his own makeup, the makeup that he used was Max Factor. The brand that is. Yeah, he could have applied it to himself. That's, like I say, a lot of stars do that, especially now because they don't have like makeup departments like they used to, unless there are some sort of like a time period movie or something like that. But for the most part, like the TV star today, and I'm not talking necessarily TV stars. I'm talking like, even the people you watch on your own local news shows, they have to apply powder to themselves, and like their foreheads. Like I know my forehead in the winter could be shiny, but right now it's dry because it's like summertime here, but it gets shiny, and they call that the T zone when it goes up down your nose and through your forehead. That's why they call it T zone. Anyhow, they put a lot of powder on themselves, or put a little bit of colorization on their face, so that they go out onto the set and they're not as shiny. But especially in a place like Florida, they sweat a lot too. But so they put on makeup, but they do it themselves. They don't have a full service like it used to be. Back in the days before all these computers came out too, they had people, actually typing, and I don't have to tell you guys that. You guys know that. But it just is a time and place, and boy, I tell you, something else. So I thought it would be pretty interesting. And if you have anything you wish for me to bring up, I will definitely do so. I mean, and if there's something because I'll probably be bringing up something about somebody you'll already know, and maybe I didn't mention it, please say, "Hey, Tracy, wait a minute, got something to tell you," and then you can share it with the chatters in the room too. We'd all learn something from you. So I think that would be great. I mean, that'd be awesome. Also, please, I'm not like the one of those that says hit the like button and subscribe. But if you do like what you're hearing, just hit the button and subscribe, whatever you want to do. Like I say, I don't plan on having the channel like Dave or even Thrash or Ian or Pat. I just do these things just for fun. So it's not as if I have a 9 to 5 job or 8 to 5 job. And so it's like these are just things I'd like to do on the side. And I thought I'd like to share them with you folks. And there are things I know, by heart too, where I don't have to read off of a chart. But I thought I'd look up some of the people that I've had interest in. That's what I plan on doing. And that's exactly what I plan on doing, Tug. Hey, Steve, how's it going, sir? I hope you're having a good day. Yeah, so I'm like, that's what I want to. That's what I want to do. Like I said, I know a lot of things that are kind of trivia nature, but it's like these are all the fun things I like to do. I'm not gonna. I mean, I don't see where I'm going to be making YouTube, my main source of income because, like I said, I have a job and I need the job because it provides insurance. I can't, insurance on my own would be really exorbitant, and I couldn't afford that on my own right now. So I deal with my little state job and I do what I have to do. And oh, that's great. I hope so. Glad to hear that you had fun. I really appreciate that. I really do. And yeah, I've got like all these little different things on my mind, and I thought, okay, well, if I could sell jewelry on Facebook, I could do a YouTube thing of things where I just like to talk about, not necessarily because I'm selling them. So I've got my own little jewelry business. I've got my own 9 to 5er. Got 2 small dogs sitting right next to me, my pug and my chihuahua. So we're all kind of just sitting here enjoying listening to a lot of innovators from the day. And I plan on doing more innovators from the day. And like I said, one of these days, someday, one of you might know something that I don't. And I say, please, I encourage the education. I just think it's fun to talk about these things because, like, how we all like to talk about all the pop culture and all the movies we like and all the TV shows we like and the music we like. And a lot of things wouldn't have happened unless it wasn't for these people here that I've been talking about. I think I might be doing something maybe on one of the early DJs of music. And I thought maybe you might like to hear that too, because he made listening to music a lot more fun. And he's got probably one of the best, I mean, the best headstones I've ever seen. And I'll make sure I could include a picture of that in my talk for the next time. Um, so, anything else anybody want to say? Yeah, I work for the state of Florida, John. I don't know if I should say that. Uh, what's going on here with my big boss? All I know is I'm my own person, and I don't want to talk about politics. This is one place I don't want to. You got your MSNBC, you got your CNN, and you got your Fox. If you want to talk about politics, talk about them there. Unless it's like somebody who's like, okay, well, like Armani created that suit for Nixon or something. I mean, that's different story. But I mean, as far as politics are concerned, forget about it. They all make me dizzy, every one of them. These days, there's nothing like they used to be. Yeah, well, that's okay. Like you could like who you like, and that's the fun part about being alive and enjoying your life is to like the things you like, not like the things you like. If you don't like apples, you may like oranges or tangerines or bananas. So what? Who cares? You can just enjoy your life because life's too darn short. And in my life, I've lost so many people, and I just say live your life and have fun doing it because nobody else is going to do it for you, you know? And I've reached the age where I could say I could give a stink less about what other people have to say. And, I'm always going through my weight issues. Like right now, I'm trying to lose the poundage. So, I mean, I go up, I go down. Lately, I've been sick, so I've been harboring a lot of extra pounds. Hopefully, I'll be getting over that soon. Um, but stay tuned. I mean, like I say, I got my own voodoo hoodoos, and I'm sure everybody out here does too, and everybody in the world does. So that's the way of the world, and you got to have fun while you're living it. I don't know, probably about 10 pairs of glasses. I have two reading glasses, and I got 7 pairs of glasses that I wear. Long story short, I have um, I have mostly all cat glasses because I like the retro look, and I like the look from the 50s and 60s. Preferably, if I had my druthers, I'd have like all the clothes that you'd see like Peggy on Mad Men wear, Elizabeth Moss. I liked how they dressed her in those costumes. I would wear them. I'd wear them to work. I have some my own retro dresses I wear to work, and they know me. I'm sort of the retro queen at my job. Um, so long story short is I love that look. I think it's very tailored, very beautiful. They don't make clothes the way they used to. I think the men looked very handsome back then, in the suits, and just it was a different time, a different place. I mean, people used to go out to I don't know if you're familiar with Major League Baseball, but you go out to even Wrigley Field back in the day in the 50s, and the men would be dressed really nice, and the women would be dressed in dresses and gloves, and oh, I mean, it was just like another time, another place, and people also used to get dressed up to take an airplane somewhere. Now, of course, everybody's wearing sweats or yoga pants or something. But yeah, those were fun. You, yeah, I love Mad Men too. I loved all that old style. Yeah, that was great stuff. I'm telling you, I loved Don Draper's apartment. I mean, just give me that thing. I love my favorite kind of style is what is that called? Oh gosh, I have it on top of my mouth. I can't think of it. Um, they call it something modern. Oh gosh, it was really the look back in those days. Just beautiful, beautiful set. I loved it. Mid-century modern. That's it. Mid-century modern. And I know they have a lot of those kind of places out in California. So, I mean, I plan on going to visit out my cousin one of these days before it's too late. Like basically all my family basically lives in the greater Los Angeles area, or they live in the Chicagoland area, and I'm down here in Florida, so it's like either 3,000 miles or 8,000 miles away. But long story short is I, I just feel better being down here away from them right now. So you guys are my surrogate family. How about that? And I enjoy being with my dogs and my fan here. I've got my fan going because air conditioning's out. The air conditioning's working, but it's been so hot here and humid. It's not even funny. Well, anybody have any questions? If not, that's okay. Yep, mid-century modern. Yeah, I love that stuff. Oh, I always get stumped, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Well, I just want to take time out to say thanks to everybody who has been here. And um, we have a store like that oh, Nito, in Sacramento and all that area, you're going to find a lot of mid-century modern in California now. It's beautiful. My cousin lives out in Palm Desert, and the place is beautiful. I mean, just beautiful. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm just like I say, I'm just harboring more, and I'm not trying to sound funny, but I'm harboring more poundage than I really am, that I really do have. I think I just have a lot of stuff I need to do, medical wise, because I've never been this round before. It's killing me. So with that said, is I'm glad you guys have come over to my channel to see what I've got. And please tell your friends and share if you think this is cool. You know, like I said, I like starting out real small, and I like I said, I'm not planning on getting the silver YouTube award or anything like that. I'm just looking to have a little bit of fun and talk about certain things. Oh well, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm going to cut it short because we're having a massive thunderstorm out there, and if this computer zots out, I will just pass out right now. So, with that said, is have a really great night, you guys. Enjoy what you enjoy. It doesn't come often, and live for yourself and be happy. Be happy and healthy. That's all you could ever want for. And if you win the lottery, good luck. Have a good night, guys. Bye bye.